Welcome to Marketing as a Foreign Language, episode 294. I don't believe in coincidences, and I don't think it's a coincidence that our guest today has a bobblehead of himself. Let's go. He didn't make it himself. So before you start tripping and thinking, wow, what kind of dude makes a bobblehead of himself? Not Chris Lipper. He didn't do it. His kids did it for him. The bobblehead has a Grateful Dead shirt on and rainbow Crocs. So let's go. Chris, they can't see you quite yet, but they will in just a moment. We'll show off the bobblehead. I met Chris at a national BNI speed networking event, and you only have, 4 or 5 minutes to chat with someone, and you don't always have a chemistry with everyone you talk to. Obviously, some relationships are more short-lived than others. This is the nature of things, but Chris and I hit it off right away and invited him to the show. Turns out he is, at least to me, a business guru. He works with a lot of folks, and he also does how do you explain it? It's like a virtual event with like the booths, but a virtual vibe. I haven't been to one yet, but we're going to hear all about it. It's called On the Bus. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare to get enlightened. Welcome to the show, Chris Lipper.
No pressure. Thank you.
So do you think we're running into the worship of idols with that bobblehead? That we're getting dangerously close to. There it is.
This was one of my daughter's Father's Day present to me. And yes, I am a deadhead, and those are my tie-dyed Crocs, not rainbow Crocs. Not that.
I apologize. No, my bad. My bad. Yep.
But yeah, so I'm a yes man right now.
It's so funny to me how kids, my kids, your kids in general, they express their love through gifts, whether it's little paintings and their little kiddos or what have you. But how cute is that she made that for you or got that for you?
Yeah, she was so excited about it. There was a whole setup to it, and it was a really touching moment.
Yeah, I love that. So let's talk about that. So love is an underrated, it's underrated in general, but in terms of business, I think we tend not to put the words love and business in same sentences often, because obviously love has a bunch of definitions and this and that. But to what degree does love and entrepreneurship, love and business live under the same roof?
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up, and I never heard that question worded quite like that. But one of my taglines is, I am passionate about entrepreneurs' passion. And one of the things I'm guilty of is I very easily fall in love with entrepreneurs, their passion, their vision, their drive. And it's part of my why and why I do what I do. It is that love and passion for their love and passion. And it's energy, and it's definitely something I chase.
Passion has its root in suffering, I want to say. The passion of the Christ, for example. Compassion, suffering with someone else. Is love also that? Where if you really love someone, you're just willing to suffer alongside them?
Wow, you go pretty deep, pretty quick around here, don't you? I don't know, and that's one of my favorite answers is because I'm comfortable. I don't know, but in terms of business, there certainly can be the suffering along with someone, and it's the identification, and it's letting someone know, being a coach, that I've been in this hole before. I'll show you how to get out, kind of thing, and it's a lot easier when you're in the hole with somebody who's been through it before. And it may not be me. I may introduce them to someone else in a similar industry or whatever it is. On a personal side, of course, when your loved one is hurting, then you're hurting, or I'm hurting, or whatever it might be. It wouldn't be normal to not be.
So there's this kind of buzzword nowadays, cause marketing. Have you heard of that?
No, I have not.
You know what it is. It just refers to a business saying something like, you buy a pair of shoes from us, we're going to donate a pair.
Yes.
You purchase our product or service, we're going to donate 5% to reforestation in Brazil. to what degree do you think that's a viable business strategy in 2021?
You ask great questions. I think if you can hit the right nerve and hit the right vibe, it can be very viable. So I have one client who is a graphic artist, and I'm a vegan. He's a vegan. It's not why he's a client of mine, but he only wants clients that are also vegan. So, is that similar to what you're saying? Sure. Is he going to donate money to, some animal sanctuary? Probably not. But at least he is looking at how he's spending his energy and his inventory, which is his time, towards a cause that he believes in. So I don't think that answers your question, but it skirts around it.
So, a lot of entrepreneurs make jokes about being addicted to coffee. Like, coffee's what drives me, and coffee this and that sort of thing. But it touches on what we put in our bodies. Dare I say, the karma of what we put in our bodies, not only in, like on a soul level, but also on a cholesterol level or how healthy you are. Do you ever touch on diet and exercise as a path towards successful entrepreneurship?
100%. It's the gas we're putting in the tank. I want to know how they're sleeping. I want to know what's emotionally draining them. I want to make sure that we have a clear path to their vision. And if health issues are going to get in the way, let's address that. I want everybody to be healthy. It doesn't mean that everybody is, and what I want isn't necessarily the end all. But I will talk to anyone who will listen about being vegan. It's one of the top 3 decisions of my life, and it happened by mistake.
Tell us the story. How'd you get there?
July 8th, 2017, as I was corrected, I thought it was 16. My brother told me to watch a movie called What the Health on Netflix, and it changed my life. And I had no intention of becoming a vegan, and that's really not what this talk's all about. But I have not hurt an animal since that day in any way, shape, or form, eaten them or otherwise. And I will not buy products that are leather or anything else. I just didn't know. And I'm embarrassed it took me till the age I was at to know that, ribs came from pigs and burgers came from cows. And I just didn't connect those dots. And it had nothing to do with my health. It really had to do with saying screw you to the government, who had us eating badly on purpose to fuel the pharmaceutical industry. And I didn't want to be a part of that. And I've had amazing health results.
Yeah, I used to drink. I still drink coffee, and I'll go on kicks where I drink a bunch of tea and whatever. And I used to drink a cup of coffee and maybe 2, and then my heart would really start to say, "Hey, buddy, how about you don't do that anymore? How about you stop?" And I thought it was the coffee. Must be the coffee, right? Saw What the Health,
Oh,
and then what was the other one that I really liked? It'll come to me. Um, And then I had an interesting lunch with a gentleman who basically said, "I do veganism 6 days a week, and then I have a cheat day." And I'm like, "Okay." And then I just went full vegan.
right.
And, uh, and then
So look
and
at
but
that. We didn't even know each other were vegan. How
yeah,
great is
totally.
this?
Yeah, well, but here's the thing. So I eat pizza, okay? I every now and then I'll have a pizza. And then, man, once every, like, couple of months, I'll get, like, a rotisserie chicken, or, like, a chicken sandwich, but it is a 99% reduction. Um, and I can drink as much coffee as I want now. It doesn't even get close to that feeling. And to pull on Eastern way of looking at things, the chi, right, of the flow of the blood in my body is so noticeably different. That's just one example of it is, because, blocked arteries, like, I didn't even know what a quadruple bypass was. Not really. Like, I didn't realize they opened up your leg, took a vein from it, and just rerouted the blood in your heart because the other artery just died. Like, they die. Those arteries they clog up and they're toast. So, yes, I would argue there's a huge connection between health and just energy level and your ability to stay positive and be a good leader, right? Because if you're hurting, if your heart's hurting, that's tough.
All right, so I got it. Now I have to tell you the health stories, and I'll do it as quick as I can. But
Oh, don't. Here's the thing, and I apologize for the interruption. The reason I mentioned backstage that I want you back on the show is we don't rush around here, right?
okay.
You take your time. We'll have you
All right.
back on the show. We'll get through the story. You know what I'm saying? Like, just
All
it's
right.
all good.
So pre-vegan, I'm a hockey player, and I'm always a little banged up, and I've already had 2 surgeries from playing hockey, and I hope to play forever, but currently where I live, I'm not. But whatever it is, at the time I was watched that movie, I had 2 torn labrums, level fives, in my hips, and a half torn rotator cuff.
What's a labrum?
It is the liner in your hips between the
Okay,
ball socket and the hip bone, I guess. I don't know, but it was bone on bone.
got it.
So it was excruciating pain until it wasn't, and I don't know why.
Whoa.
Went to a surgeon, had x-rays and MRAs, which are something you don't want to have. They're injecting you while looking at you with like an ultrasound, and it was unbelievably painful. And the guy was a teaching doctor describing it as he's poking it. It sucked. And within 10 days of going vegan, I was playing hockey again, pain-free. My eyesight went back 1 prescription. I recently went and had a physical, and the doctor came back with the blood results and said, dude, your cholesterol is 258. You have to go on meds. I was like, not going to do it. And he goes, no, 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 you don't understand. You're going to have a stroke or a heart attack. I was like, you don't understand. I'm not going to do it. And he goes, why? And I said, because my cholesterol was 358. We're down 100 points, and I'm not on meds. And he goes, it's still too high. And he goes, you have to. I said, I'm not. And he goes, all right, so we'll make a deal. And I said, okay, I like deals. And he said, you go get a CT scan of your heart arteries, and if the numbers come back high, you agree that you will go on the meds. And I said, that's a fair deal. Let's do it. And he said, and by the way, it's not covered by insurance. You have to pay. I said, fine. So I went and got a CT scan. 2 weeks later, my phone is blowing up. I can see it's the doctor's office. He called 6 times. And finally, I had my girlfriend call him back because I couldn't get off the call, and she's on the list of people he can talk to. And she's like, you better call him. So I talked to him, and he goes, I've never seen anything like it. Your blockage in your arteries, 0. Never seen that before.
It's funny, to me. It's like I have to have, okay, 2 things happen simultaneously, and you know all this already, so you're just here, I mean, like, you just, but it's good for us to hear it out loud. Everything in the universe is perfect. It's perfect, perfectly designed, perfect in every possible way. It's incredible. And then there is like unbelievable human suffering, and those 2 things are happening simultaneously. And
Mm-hmm.
so compassion is very important, because if I live in that heady space of, oh, it's just karma all the time, it's like, well, then you just turn into this sort of like soulless, like heartless being. And then if you're in the heart all the time, it's like, just take everything, just I don't want any possession. So we balance. And as someone who doesn't really eat meat anymore, it's very easy for me to talk about it. And I can talk about it as an addiction, like, any other addiction that people have. But when people are suffering through it, I remember just the cravings. I remember thinking that if I didn't eat meat, I would die. I grew up that way, thinking like, how are you going to get your protein? You're gonna, it's just that classic sort of thing. I literally thought I would die. I looked at the food pyramid, and I'm like, if you don't, and every cultural reinforcement mechanism along the way, and I never felt good about it either. I was like, I didn't want to do it, but drink the milk, eat the dinner, and it always had meat in it, always. Um, and we're not even getting into the ecological effects of it, like how many plants it takes to produce. And look, I think
Quarter
plant,
pound of meat, a
yeah.
quarter pound cost us, the planet, 600 gallons of water.
Well, yeah, and we're not even getting into the fact that I also think plants are alive. Okay, they seem alive to me, right? They happen to regenerate better than animals. Like, you cut off a leg off of a cat, it's not growing back. The plant's going to grow back, right? So they're different,
By the way,
but
that might have been 60 gallons of water, not 600, but it's still a lot. And it begins at six.
yeah, I mean, well, then that's just the water. That's not.
Yeah,
Look, we have to pump that water. We have to move that water. We have to use electricity to do all that stuff. Like, yeah,
yeah.
the cost is outrageous, obviously. And then, like, there's, look, I hate to say this, but I'm a big believer in karma. And all I mean by karma is action. That's it.
Yeah.
Action. That's it. Just action. Because we know that there are equal and opposite reactions to everything. Everything. And so just because it is currently invisible to us does not mean that it's not happening.
Right.
That's the trap of modern Western living, is just we don't see it, therefore, out of sight, out of mind. But the karma, it comes back and it bites all of us because we're all so interdependent. And we can make this a business argument. Okay. So the way I treat someone who isn't my client is karmically relevant, right? Like I'm doing networking with all these people, and it's like, oh, this person isn't going to work with me. And I've been guilty of this where I'll just sort of be like, right, because they're not a potential client. And the mind wants to do that. But that's so myopic and stupid. You know what I mean?
I think it's natural too. I remember once I had a guy at my desk, and it was late in the day. It was after 5. I was in the office alone, and he was a big guy, bigger than me, 6 foot plus. And we were talking about my business, and I had to tell him I didn't want him as a client. And he said, why? And I said, well, I work with business owners that are typically vulnerable, and they're open to, saying that they don't know something and they want to learn, or they've made a mistake. And frankly, you're a bit of a blowhard. And he didn't like that. And I said, you really want to come to our meetings to pontificate and let us know how smart you are, and that's not what we're about. And he stood up and he reached in his pocket, and I didn't know if he was gonna, I'm in New York, I don't know if he's pulling out,
Yeah.
he's gonna hit me. And he pulls out his checkbook and he's like, you're signing me, and you're signing me now. How much? Nobody's ever talked to me like that, and you're right.
Wow.
But in the end, I was right, and it kind of blew up, and it didn't work. But was what it was,
Wow. You come here to pontificate. Yeah, about how great you are.
and how much he knew. Yeah,
That's right. Look at me. Yeah, Ram Dass is such an incredible teacher. I love that guy. And Chris showed me that he's got Ram Dass's "Be Here Now," literally that
okay.
book. I'm listening to Ram Dass every morning. I'm just on a binge right now, full on binge. And he's big into becoming nobody.
Great.
Good luck with that. You know what I mean? It's hard because the ego is just like, oh, it just wants to be somebody, and somebody special, special butterfly.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm working with marketing companies now for our business, and they're like, why don't we have any pictures of you on the website? And because I'm like, it's not about me, it's about the clients, it's about the community. And they're like, yeah, but you should be the focal point. I said, I don't want to be the focal point. Frankly, it's because I want to franchise later. And if it's all about the creator, you can't, you know what I mean? Or not as easily. But
Mhm.
I agree with the statement you've made. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about us.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Oh yeah. And on one level, it's just you can get caught in that sort of thinking you're your personality, that's a hard one. Just that one, getting out of that one is really tough. Is going, it's just classic stuff. Like thought comes in, is it my thought? Am I thinking that thought? Like, and then I've gotten to the point now where I am really starting to see other souls, right? Like as I walk around, I'm like, that's a soul. They're in that particular incarnation. They've got their own karma. They've got their own thing going. How fascinating. How fascinating is that?
You do go deep. Wow. That's good. I like that. I've never thought like that. I like it.
Yeah.
Um,
So,
I'm going to start trying.
yeah, it's just a channel. It's a channel of consciousness where you go flip. And what's the best part about that to me is that it destroys the isms. It destroys the isms. So like I look at my son, and one of the reasons I like Hinduism so much is it was just Krishna's birthday on Monday. And in Christianity, all like Christianity is incredible. Christianity is incredible. In Hinduism, Krishna is just this like kid running around with like these milkmaids and stuff. And there's all these stories about him, doing incredible things. But it's the story of God as child, and then grows up and goes through this and that. But in the Jesus narrative, we just get past all that, right? And so I look at my son and I go, Krishna. Here's Krishna, just like the incarnation of God, just running around doing godlike things, but as a 6-year-old. I refer to my daughter as my guru, because that's ageism to think otherwise.
Mhm.
What? Oh, because I'm so smart. She was saying, oh, you know so much more than me. And I was like, honey, I don't know what your bus is like. I don't know, what your teacher's like, how your relationships are in your class. Like, you know, a lot of things that I don't know. A lot of things. I don't know what it's like to be an 8-year-old girl in 2021 during a pandemic. So yeah, I might know some more facts than you, but it's like you can teach me a lot.
It's a great way of thinking.
So I'm really curious about some of the relationships you've had on the coaching front. Can you tell us any anecdotes or stories about, hey, I met this person and they joined the group and here's what happened with them?
I don't know if I can get that specific. Not that I don't want to. I just need more footing to think it through further. But I can tell you that the change in people and that reflects change in business and mindset, and then it reflects change in profit is pretty consistent throughout. And I don't think that I coach companies. I think I make better owners, if you know what I mean. And it starts with a vision. I find that most entrepreneurs, when they come to me, they're rudderless, and the company is somewhat rudderless, meaning they're going to go whatever way the clients want them to go or wherever the biggest order is, and they're kind of flopping in the wind. And that's great in the moment, but 10 years from now, they may have a company that they no longer enjoy, and they've lost sight of their own vision. So we start with a vision, and I do it from when they're leaving the company backwards. So the older they are, the shorter trip that is, right? But if they're young, if they're in their 20s, we might go out 30, 40 years. If they're in their 60s, we may only go out 10 years or 15. But we factor it from the sale or the exit backwards. And 41 of my owners in the last 5 years have successfully sold their businesses.
Out of how many?
Oh, at the most, I think we had 86 at one time, and this is including monthly coaching and some other types of coaching. Currently, I have about 20. I'd like to be
Okay.
at about 30. That's a comfortable number. I don't want to be much bigger than that.
And so you sit with them, you give them homework, I assume. Like, think about it, right? Let me know what you're thinking about in terms of like an exit strategy. How much, and you talk about how much you would sell for, I assume.
Um, I'll answer one question at a time.
Yeah.
They give themselves homework. So yes, I give them homework, but I let them think it's them giving it to themselves. I find the best way to work with entrepreneurs is always let them think it's their idea. You just have to lead them to it, because otherwise it doesn't get done. Entrepreneurs aren't people pleasers. They aren't people that are going to do things they don't want to do. So the key is to motivate them to want to do it. And generally, what I'm trying to do is to get them out of their own way and to have them understand that if we are in a situation where somebody wants to sell a business, that the less of them, the more it's worth. And the
Hmm.
way we get the less of them, and that hurts to hear sometimes because they figure, well, I'm our biggest producer or I'm the best at that. But how do you sell a business or how do you leave if you're the one bringing in all the business? You can't. So
Hmm.
what we have to do is manage systems and establish systems, manage the systems, and bring people in that can work within the systems. So we're
Hmm.
not managing people, we're managing systems. And that
Hmm.
can take years to get to, because first we got to get them out of their own way with trust,
Hmm.
realizing it's a good idea. And sometimes there could be an event. So we had one person, he's been with me a long time, 19 years, something like that. And he had never missed one of our meetings. I had just given him an award at a big award ceremony we had on a Friday for not missing a meeting in 17 years or whatever it was. And he texted me that Sunday saying he wouldn't be at his meeting on Wednesday. And I was like, what? I give you the award and now you're not coming? And he said, no, my dad just had a stroke
Yeah.
and my mom saw it happen and had a heart attack. So I have two parents in the ICU. And that Wednesday at I think 9:05, he emailed us to let us know that 5 minutes earlier his mom died in his arms, and we were the first people he was letting know.
Wow.
And then he had a dad who had just had a severe stroke to take care of for a year, and he spent 35 hours a week with his dad, not in the office, and the company grew.
Right.
And that was magical.
Right.
And we were focused on, when I met with him, we were talking about things like, hey, make sure you still have date night. Make sure you're paying attention to the rest of your family. Keep track of the numbers, but stay out of the way. And now he's back in the business, but we'd kind of advised that maybe he stay out, that it was doing fine.
Right.
Start something else, do something else. But
Right.
yeah, and he's a lovely guy, and it's important to him. And for entrepreneurs, the businesses is their family.
Mm-hmm.
And you ask any spouse or child of an entrepreneur, and they'll tell you that the business gets as much attention, if not more, than the family.
Right.
My dad is a famous entrepreneur of sorts. We owned a magazine. He owned a magazine called Venture Magazine.
Mm.
And in his home, there's a picture, and it's a wonderful picture. I can send it to you if you want, of Christmas Eve. And you can see the snowy parking lot and the wreath on the door, and the only light in the building that's on is the top corner office.
Oh, yeah.
And that's Christmas Eve for an entrepreneur.
Yikes.
And we're all volunteers. We go into this willingly. It's our passion. Back to your original question. That's our driver. And we're doing what we love, and we love what we do.
Yeah. Because I'm on the binge of the Ram Dass, he uses this word extricate a lot. And he uses it in a spiritual sense, like extricate yourself from awareness with the body, that sort of thing. I translated it into business. And so my goal over the last 7 years has been to extricate myself from whatever I'm doing now. And I did it like 11 times. And I landed in a place where I wrote the book. I spoke at the universities. I did the public speaking. I don't run the show anymore. I don't even really sell much anymore. I do the show. So I really did that for a long time, and for people who look at that and go, oh, that's amazing. That's wonderful. Look at you. It's like, it's scary. It's scary handing over your baby again and again, like handing over reporting to clients. That was a tough one. I was like, okay, here. And then, of course, they just do better. They always do better than me. Like whatever it is that I think I'm so great at, I give it to someone else and I'm like, wow, they thought of this, they did that. This is so, it just, so I'm constantly shown that they're just better at
We
it than
have, I gotta see if, so I had this made a few years ago. I don't know if you can see this, but it shows you how to delegate. So there's things that the company needs, there's things that you're good at, and there things that you enjoy doing. I'm trying to get it on the screen. There it is. And if it's not touching all three, don't do it. Give it to someone else to do. There's a great book I just read also, Who, Not How. Who can do this? Not how do you do it. Delegate it. Find the who can do it. So that kind of stuff. We had a wonderful story some years ago, a guy who we were in his office getting a tour, and he had a stack of invoices on his desk, and the question was, well, what's that? And the question he had was he was having a problem with one of his employees, his receptionist, not doing enough. And he wanted to get rid of her. And we were like, so what's going on with the invoices? And he goes, I call and collect money. And we're like, well, how do you do? And he goes, I get about 7 out of 10. And we said, well, why don't you give it to her? See how she does. And she would get 9 out of 10. And she, long story short, she became like his right-hand man and now does all the pricing and everything. And he just wasn't utilizing her. But it took taking something off his plate to find that diamond in the rough.
Yep. Yep. Constantly impressed. Yeah, I am constantly impressed. And mind you, I fire quickly too. It's like if someone is not, they're not the right fit, it's goodbye. And I learned that lesson very young with being a teacher. What taught me that lesson, which is, 2 to 3 of those kids out of 30, God bless them, they can take 80% of your time. You can spend
Yep.
80% of your time with those 3 kids. I mean, teachers are the good teachers are saints. I mean, I get it, what they're doing. I understand that they're juggling these things. And I know that these kids' home lives are just a mess. I get it. I understand it. I just thought to myself, you know what? I think I may be more interested in being in a position where I can just choose the best, most able people to do that particular task. And the business is a perfect place to do that. This works for me.
I find that most entrepreneurs will tell you that they fire fast, and they do when they're not the ones who hire them. When they hire the employee, they don't fire fast.
Hmm.
And I had one fire an employee in jail. And we'd been saying for 2 years, this guy's not a fit. You got to let him go. And he was drinking and driving in the company car, and he finally got fired for that in jail.
Yikes. Yeah, that's a little
But
rough.
entrepreneurs are quick to fire if they didn't do the hire. If it's
That's a
their hire, they're not as fast.
That's a great nugget of wisdom. I like that. I'll have to keep that, tuck that away, put that in the treasure chest. Well, we've gone over, which is a sign of a good interview.
Good.
Ladies and gentlemen, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, youtube.com/send it rising. If you want to join us live, you can chat, ask guests questions, and all that sort of thing. If you're listening to us after the fact, iTunes, Spotify, and 10 other podcast platforms, we love you. We appreciate you. And thank you. If you want to help with the algorithm, again, youtube.com/send it rising, hit the thumbs up button, leave a comment. Our guest today, you already know every amazing thing I'm about to say about him, so I don't even need to say them. Chris Lipper, business guru, living up to the name. So why don't you let them know just the capitalist stuff, the sales pitch, where to reach you?
The capitalist stuff. I don't
Yeah.
even like to think like that. Our website is onthebus.biz, and you can find me on Audible. We have a sales training book there that you might enjoy. And the most exciting thing I have coming up is our virtual trade show on September 22nd and 24th. It's a 2-day show for small business owners. If you'd like to exhibit, present, or attend, or sponsor, please reach out to me, Chris at onthebus.biz.
Good stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for swinging by the show. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.